Hey everybody, so I got a comment like this one and another comment to explain or get the idea of what Passover is. So, explaining it from like a elementary school point of view, or like at least the gist of it. Passover is a holiday where the Jews celebrate the escape of Egypt. We were slaves and then we were not slaves. How we celebrate that is we have what is called a Seder. I can go in a separate video what a Seder is, but we use what is called the Haggadah, this book that shows everything, all the prayers and things, and like procedures or things to go through in a Seder. We are gathered with friends and family in this dinner. We pray and all this. We pray and do these things, and then we have a big meal. And the gist of it, that's the gist of it. We celebrate. We sit down, have a dinner, say all these prayers first to celebrate Jews escaping from Egypt and then going to Israel. But what led to it is what led to how did we escape? How did we escape Passover? What's the story? So there's a lot that goes into this, but the basics is that there was a prophet named Moses that God came to one day before he was a prophet, obviously. He came to Moses in the form of a burning bush, and then God said, "You must do my wonders. You must free the Jews. Free my people." And so God gave Moses these powers. Well, not he can give it. He kind of did and he kind of didn't. I don't want to go into complications, but it was God's doings. It was God's doings that helped the Jews escape. Moses was just like the deliverer, you know. So Moses, under God's command, went to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." And Pharaoh said, "No, I will not." So how did God respond? You want to know how God responded? He responded with plagues. 10 plagues to be exact. And you know what the first plague was? It was blood. He turned all the water in Egypt into blood. That is crazy. And then Moses went to Pharaoh after that, and he still said no, even though he saw all his water into blood. So God responded by sending frogs. Yes, he sent frogs down. And then all of Egypt was covered in frogs. But even after that, Pharaoh still said no. And then Moses came back. And God brought wild beasts to charge upon the land and trample everything. And just kill a bunch of people. But even that, when Moses came and said, "Let my people go again," he said no. Okay. Now we go. The same routine. He said no. So God led upon another plague, lice. You know how lice is, like, oh God, no, ew, lice. It's all itchy and bleh. But even after all that, Pharaoh still said no. So God released cattle plague or pestilence. And then, killing livestock. Then God released upon boils, making people more itchy even after the lice, but this time on their faces and their head. God released hail. Yes, hail in the middle of Egypt. Take that, and that you have this hot weather, but I'm gonna release freaking ice cubes, and freaking probably like bash your skulls in or something. So then God released locusts as the next plague. Keep in mind there are 10 plagues. I didn't mention that. There are 10 plagues. This is the 8th plague. Locusts. Eating all the Pharaoh's crops, all the Egyptian people's crops. Can you guess what happened? That's right. Pharaoh still said no. So God responded again with pure darkness. You could see nothing. They had to use candle lighting, I guess, because what else does this mean? Darkness. Probably the moon was out forever. Say it with me, and after all that, say it with me, Pharaoh said no. So we're on to the 10th plague now. And the death of the firstborn. This was the final straw that broke the camel's back. This was the plague that Pharaoh finally said, "You may let your people go." I think you know what this means. Death of the firstborn. All firstborn kids were dead. Were killed by the angel of death, who visited all the homes. And you're wondering, did they kill all the firstborn? Well, if the people listened to Moses, they had to wipe lamb blood on their door. The lamb blood signified the angel of death to pass by. So they did that. And for the people who listened, their firstborn were fine. But for the others, no. And it was that let God, that God succeeded. And Pharaoh said, you may let your people go. So they packed all their stuff, and that led to what we call matzah. I don't have it with me, but matzah is unleavened bread. Imagine like a really big cracker, but it's not salted. And they took that, and they left, but it didn't take long for Pharaoh to change his mind and come after them. So Pharaoh on his horses went after the Jews, and in response to that, they came across the sea. I think it was the Dead Sea or the Red Sea. That's really embarrassing. But basically, they thought they were trapped, but due to God, Moses split the sea. The Jews were able to pass, and then as Pharaoh came, the sea came down and killed Pharaoh and his men. And then the Jews were able to travel to Israel for 40 years. Yes, 40 years, like on foot. They traveled all the way. And then they made it to Israel eventually. And that's basically Passover. I don't know if I could, it took way longer to explain than I thought. I guess I was just trying to be engaging. But yeah, that is the gist of Passover. Now, if you want to know exactly what a Seder is, what matzah looks like, or if you, if you want to know what a Seder is, you want to know what matzah looks like, and you want to have, I think that was it. But that's the gist of Passover. So I hope that helped. This is almost 10 minutes, but I wanted to explain the best I could what Passover is. So if you have any other questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Bye, and happy Passover.